Yes, so we're going to have a stun mirror in a field of just littered with Orcus decks and all this crazy stuff. I do not think these players would have expected to go up against each other, and it'll be very interesting to see how this match goes. So we're not going to make you guys wait any longer. We're just going to go ahead and get right into it.
So get some popcorn. This will at the very least be entertaining to watch us suffer. All right, looks like they're going to roll some dice for an unknown reason. Oh, and Alex Fuentes already has the more proactive cards. You can see a Cosmic Cyclone in the hand. Very good.
So starting with Border.
And here we go. Jordan goes, seems good. You want to lead with Border so your opponent's Ash Blossom doesn't fire, provided they're playing them.
I'll be very curious to see how this ends up turning out because Alex Fuentes has like the more aggressive cards like Gizmek, like Gren Maju. I'm curious like if that's going to give him an advantage because typically Border Stun just slowly chips away at the opponent. So this will be interesting.
So this is a good opportunity for you, chat, if you are thinking about just games in general. Identify which of these two decks is the beatdown. And if you are correct and that person pursues a more aggro line of play, they'll win most of the time. One of these two players, even in effectively a mirror match, is going to be playing a deck that is slightly more tuned to be aggressive. And if that player can identify it and capitalize on it, they'll walk away with the set.
So Jordan's setting a monster. Is that his own Inspector border since it's also 2K?
God, this is going to be great. You see he said 4 and said pass. Alex goes, no. No, please, no.
So at this point, if you're Alex, you could be thinking that, ooh, Cosmic Sight. Interesting blind Cosmic
Really
here.
Terrible decision. Alex should understand that we're going to time game 1.
So he's going to get that far left back row here. He's going to take 1,000 for that. There's Compulse. Now, the thing is, if you're Alex, do you think you're going up against, Sub-Terror if they're setting a monster?
Well, the Compulse kind of lets the cat out of the bag because Alex is on Compulse as well, and I don't think he thinks any other deck outside of potentially Striker might do it.
Desires.
No, don't do this, friend.
Alex could potentially deck out.
We're 20 cards deep. I think if you're Jordan Nichols, you go, yes, of course. At this point in time, my win condition is to deck out.
I think Alex only has 10 or 11 cards left in deck because you banished
20. You've got the 5 in hand.
You banished 20 off Desires. You've drawn 2, so that's 24 plus 5, 29. You've drawn 1, so you're at 30. He only has 10.
The 5 in hand, right?
No, I counted the 5 in hand.
Okay, so 10 cards remaining
in
deck.
So he has 10 cards in deck, assuming he's on 40? He's on 40.
He's on 40.
Yeah.
Can you imagine playing a stun deck over 40?
And
that's the reason he was comfortable doing that. The payoff for Alex is to go all the way in on a huge Gren Maju, and Jordan's likely on a bunch of cards that are meant to stop monsters that have been special summoned.
Now, the funniest part about this is that Inspector border is going to hit into another Inspector border.
Or maybe it'll eat a Compulse.
That's true. I think there's a Crackdown.
Oh, it's a Ronin Totem. Oh, we may have misnamed this. Ooh, Crackdown targeting a Ronin Totem.
Okay. Okay, I'm not going to lie. When he showed me his deck, I saw nothing but border and Crackdown, Strike.
I was going to say that looked like a Paleozoic Canadia. Have we been wrong this whole time?
He showed me 15 cards in his deck. It's Canadia. Okay.
There we go.
All right, let's go ahead and
change
rename
it
this.
up, boys.
Yep, we're changing it up. All right, well, this got a lot more interesting now that we know this.
And suddenly we've got a game on our hands.
Sorry about that, chat.
Oh, don't apologize. They knew what they were getting into.
I was about to say, honestly, though, I think people might like this better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the alternative is about the worst matchup in the history of time. I appreciate it.
It's funny, though, because Ronin Totem still has 2,000 defense, so the same issue still persists in that with that border. But
Jebaited everyone, even the casters. Oof. So a Canadia targeting that set copy of Inspector border really doesn't do anything but get a copy of Olinades from the graveyard. Or Dynamiscus, potentially?
That is Olinoides.
Olinoides. I never remember their names.
But that will give him a possible Link 2 play here. And that Gren Maju is sitting very vulnerable.
It makes a totally awesome.
It does.
Now, we know that Alex is on a significant amount of strikes and warnings, so if this totally awesome eats a strike, that's a bit of a problem. But if it doesn't, it'll be able to activate its effect and provide a blocker for that extremely pesky Gren Maju. And going for attack position, no fear, Shakespeare.
And that's going to heat a Judgment.
Yikes.
That still triggers Toad, even though it got negated, correct? Because then it just have to be sent to grave?
But I don't know how excited Jordan is about it. He says it doesn't actually care. It could be sent from the extra deck to the graveyard,
right, because,
as it is in Necros.
Because exactly, because Necros can send it to add a water back, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He says, okay, well, that's a broken card.
Well, to be fair, when you Judgment most things, nothing happens. So So 8 of Judgment there.
All we need is a compulsory evacuation device or some way to deal with this one Gren Maju. Ooh, a Swap Frog is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So, hypothetically, after the Swap Frog activation, he'll add the Swap Frog back to hand, then special it using its own effect, discarding the Ronin Totem he added back. And that's going to be at least one more totally awesome. This deserves a strike, if nothing else.
Does Alex have it, though, is the question.
And remember, whatever he chains can't be something that triggers a Paleo. Oh, no.
It happens to be a trap, so that is going to bring out that Canadia for free on Jordan's side, and that's going to give him another rank 2 play here. And we're going to see on Resolution, Cosmic Cyclone on the very last card. Interesting he didn't chain Cosmic Cyclone in that exchange because he could have stopped the Canadian from coming out.
Yeah.
I think that might just be a little bit of
I think Alex wasn't expecting that Paleozoic would be making it onto the field by virtue of his own trap.
Fair.
And that's a Lost Wind he's Cosmic Cyclone. Ooh, Lost Wind is an incredibly powerful card that always deserves to be Cosmic Cycloned, even if it's in a blind scenario. But unfortunately for Alex, is also going to net a Paleo from grave.
Mm-hmm. Alex is going to take another 1,000 from that Cosmic Cyclone. And again, that could just be an experience with the matchup that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, it's very similar to Thunder Dragon Titan. As long as you can stop them from that being the next effect, you're good.
So I think we're now having a discussion of if Cosmic Cyclone, or if Lost Wind can be used on his own monster.
Because Lost Wind can only target special summons? Is
Yeah,
that
so
why?
the only legitimate target is the Canadia.
And it looks like they're good, because
Yep.
he's going to go ahead and trigger the Olenoides and Grave, summon that.
Does not specify opponents. Now here we have a different line. We could potentially go for a Totally Awesome and try and lock up the game that way. Or we could go for an Anomaly Karis, pop this copy of Gren Maju, and go off to the races. Alex Fuentes now very frustrated. Unfortunately, returning the card to the hand for Swap Frog is not affected by an infinite impermanence negation.
That is true. It's so crazy how even in 2019, how Swap Frog can like play around these.
Swap is so strong.
It is. Definitely deserving of that ultimate rare printing.
To those of you saying Lost Wind has to target an effect monster, that's not true. If you're extrapolating a ruling off of something like Widow Anchor does specify effect monster. Almost every other piece of negation does. For some reason, Lost Wind doesn't.
So now here comes Ronin Totem. And now here comes Toad number 2. Oh, no, he
no,
linked.
this is
I'm sorry.
going to be
Miss Starboy?
Miss Starboy, likely, but I don't know if that's a very valid play. You probably don't want to accidentally lose to Gren Maju. You've got to have a plan for it. So I think maybe Jordan is just putting himself dead to Gren Maju number 2. Of course, he can stonewall the 1 forever by using Totally Awesome's effect in order to special summon a Dupe Frog from deck, which has a lure effect.
So now we're going to see an Sea Summon, potentially. Looks like it. What's he going to make, though? Can you make, what's the...
You make
Ooh,
Opabinia here.
okay.
Ho, 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 ho. So you don't get to see Opabinia often, but every time this card is resolved, it wins the game.
This was a key player back when Paleozoic was tier 1 in its prime.
Yeah.
Being able to activate traps from your hand and then also just search them, like this card is ridiculous.
It was upsetting because you would always think, oh, I mean, Toad is the good one, of course. And then your opponent would drop an Opabinia and you go, oh, I guess I've lost the game.
Yeah, so now he's using the effect, detaching 1 for material. He gets to search any of his Paleozoics. He's going to go for Dynamicious. Yeah, I hear it's pretty good.
Dynamicious will not only banish this copy of Gren Maju, but also will trigger the Paleo that was in grave and was attached to the Opabinia and was on its way to the banish zone before it became Xyz material. Oh, it's not fair.
So targeting Dynamicious, it does not discard. You don't discard for cost.
And I believe we've got a Swap Frog and a Ronin Toad in graveyard for a follow-up Toad as well.
Discarding that copy of Compulse in his hand. No hand now. And this is looking pretty good. If you've got Opabinia plus Toad plus Starboy, oh, man.
This is certainly the end of the game. Of course, the passive attack increase from Starboy putting Toad well over Border's meager 2,000 defense points.
For a normal summon, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Starboy going to swing in for 1,900 here, and that's almost enough to take Alex out of the game, funny enough.
If that Opabinia was in attack position, he could have done it. No, it's got 0.
I was going to say Opabinia is 0,
He'd be
isn't
100
it?
off.
Yeah.
Then in
And
standby, we'll make a Dupe Frog for good measure. This blocks a single Gren Maju from winning the game.
which, funny enough, is relevant.
For sure. Dupe Frog has no business having a lure effect, but I appreciate that it does.
It's okay, because, you know, it makes up for the fact that it misses timing in pretty much every instance of it going to the graveyard.
I got to see a Dupe Frog actually resolve
Really?
the other week. Yeah.
Wow.
It was under a very specific set of
Did you call
scenarios.
National Geographic?
I did.
Oh, okay.
They sent, who's the guy? David Cameron out? No, he made Avatar.
David Cameron.
He's considered with other Blue Boys.
Alex just set one and passed. Now we're going to see another activation of Toad here. It's going to get him another Frog.
So if you're in Jordan's seat, you expect that set card's got to be Gren Maju. And attacking into a Gren Maju is the only way you lose this game. Might as well link up for something like a Unicorn and just win.
You have so many plays here, because you can take out the back row and the monster. You can search Olenoides with your Opabinia and then just pop the back row, then make the Unicorn and shuffle away the monster and just win from there. Like, there's so many lines that Jordan wins this.
Yeah, to chat saying in before the set is Maju and attacking it is lethal, that happens very often in Gren Maju decks.
Really?
Yeah, you.
I never knew that.
If you fire off a Desires, set one and pass, you can accidentally bait your opponent into losing the game, thinking you bricked.
That's assuming they don't know what you're playing.
Right. If
Yeah.
they sniff it out, you are in fact not going to get them.
It's crazy how a card like Maju has actually shifted the dynamic of, like, set monsters now. Because before, if you set a monster, oh, he bricked. Now it's like, oh, he set a monster.
Oh,
what
that's
if it's
lethal.
a Maju? Yeah. So going for the Unicorn here.
Yep.
It's going to shuffle away the possible Gren Maju.
Worst thing that set card would be like a Solemn Strike here.
And Alex is going to scoop it up.
Yeah.
I'm curious what it was. I wonder
Yeah,
what
me
actually
too.
was.
If he wins the set, we'll ask him.
But Jordan's going to take game number 1 here.
Chat saying, I have died to set Maju. Good on you for owning up to it. I think we've all done it at least once.
At least. Cards.
Right.
It's interesting to see how he's going to shift gears here in this game.
So those of you asking if the decks are 5-0, they're not. I believe these people both have one loss, but they are still at table 7.
Yes, they're both 4-1. This is table 7, so they're at the top of the X1s.
We're trying to spare you from as much Orcust as possible, and don't worry, there's a ton.
So Alex opted to go first.
All right, here we go. And he's leading with a copy of Extravagance. That's a good one.
Seems pretty good. No one's really going to complain about 2 free cards. I just love, too, that with cards like Extravagance and Desires with Gren Maju, how, like, the banishing is just, like, a boon to your deck. So starting off with Border again.
There he is. It's not the worst thing in the world versus Paleozoic. It turns off the effect of Swap Frog, but that's about it.
And set 2.
This is a game that we just saw.
Yeah, this is almost, aside from the Extravagance, this is almost identical.
If you swap out a Pot of Desires for an Extravagance, it's literally the same open.
Oh, that's true. He did Desires because he went in Border into Desires to protect, because Extravagance does have to be the first card you play on main 1.
Yeah. And jokes on him, I don't think Jordan is.
There's the Evenly. That's not a particularly devastating Evenly.
If I'm Alex, you know, this Evenly isn't that big of a deal, mostly because the Border is not long for this world anyway. I think I'm pretty happy that this is just MST and not Heavy Storm Duster. Oh, don't banish them both. Oh,
Wow.
They must have been terrible.
Interesting, he's opting to keep the Border. That's Paleozoic for you, ladies and gentlemen. Set 4 pass.
All right, Alex. Clearly, some of the cards in your hand have to be Twin Twister. So let's see one. Nope.
Border for 2K.
And no real reason to do anything else. You know, commit to the board. Why?
So now we're going to see another set card here.
He's playing it cognizant of impermanence, but losing to Mech Knight.
Oh, of course. You know, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I missed Mech Knights in this deck, too. We did see that Orcus deck that had Mech Knights in it.
All right, so we're just going to go ahead and pop that.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's
Lancia. It was Lancia.
Sorry, folks. End of my turn.
Interesting. He boarded in Lancia.
Wow. Oh, for evenly?
For evenly.
He must have drawn at the turn after that.
That's so unfortunate.
So painful.
I guess it could also stop Ronin Toten.
Yeah, theoretically.
I mean, I think that's pretty bad, but it's something.
Probably not worth a shot.
No, I mean, it's clearly for evenly. So another 2K going to Jordan's face.
I think Alex may have cracked this matchup.
Another play around impermanence there. Are we going to see another Illinois by chance?
So one thing that does screw up Paleozoic routinely is if you don't play very many cards, you mess up their chainable traps. He's going to heavy Storm Duster, but not summon a Paleozoic off of it.
No, interesting.
Is that a punish?
He hit a Solemn Judgment.
That's a good one. What do you draw off the top? Nope, not a monster, so it doesn't matter.
I'm really curious. He must want to keep that Paleo engraved for like when he can actually start advancing his game state. Because right now, this border is just kind of doing its thing.
Again, if you're not taking very many actions, they don't have opportunities to flex these traps. Oh.
Here comes a Blind Twin.
I don't like this. I would like to have attacked with border and then held up the twin for the end phase trap activation that you know is coming.
Because you know he's going to probably use at least one.
Yeah.
I think
if
that was
these are chainable, that's a problem.
I think
anyway.
that was an Olinoides in the middle.
Ooh.
There's a ooh.
That is a really scary card to see when you're at 4,000 life points and about to take 2 more. It's really only going to be live for his turn.
So now that Imperial will be live for Jordan's turn as well as Alex's. So we're going to take 7 here.
Things are looking grim.
Now Jordan is up a game.
Yes.
To be fair, but
even in a worst case scenario, he can crawl his way back in game 3.
and like I said, I think that middle card is a Paleo.
What the heck is in Alex's hand?
Did he pass?
It looks like.
Wow.
Let me check. It looks like he's still thinking about his turn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and fix that life total for you guys.
That's the more fair version of.
Oh, it was a Compulse. I'm sorry.
Fine. That's good enough.
You get a Paleo now.
Yep.
You got to do something here.
Here's the monster. Let's see him.
Let's
Is
see
it
a swap.
Frog?
That's
wow.
That's a good one.
Oof, that's strong.
So gets to send a Frog here. Now he can make a Toad. Toad is bigger than Border.
Just enough.
It's going to turn off spells on Alex's turn, and then, funny enough, when the turn comes back to Jordan, he's going to have that Imperial Order live. There's a Lancia.
That's so late for this Lancia.
And a Gizmek.
Nope, that's a good card.
Interesting. So he used Gizmek Chainlink 1, Lancia Chainlink 2, it looks like?
That's fine, but not particularly broken. Of course, Gizmek's going to have to walk into something like a Dupe Frog, and then it's going to have to activate its effect, at which point it can be taken.
Gizmek can get over a Toad, though, although Dupe Frog will be able to stop the attack.
You'll have to either attack the Dupe Frog or activate the effect on the Dupe Frog, which allows the Toad activation.
Right.
None of them are good.
Well, to be fair, we don't know what else is in Alex's hand.
Yeah.
Jordan sets another one, and it looks like we're going to pass back. Alex's turn. Jordan's going to lose another 7 to Imperial Order.
And we're going to activate the effect of Toad. Oh, boy.
Going to go ahead and grab a Dupe Frog here.
Alex, you got something for this? Oh, that double Lancia really coming in clutch. It's a very questionable board, and it's really, really hurting Alex.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking what those cards could have been. I'm curious what he sided out for them.
Probably Summon Limit seems pretty bad in this matchup.
But he chose to go first.
Still.
I mean, I suppose. I mean, we saw the turn Jordan won. He summoned like 6 monsters.
Yeah, but the game was effectively over after the first Toad.
Fair.
And identifying that is something I'm sure Alex can do.
Gizmek switches to attack mode.
Are we going to attack this turn? Oh, we are. Oh, in fact, we are.
Well, Jordan saw his 3 back row.
So we've banished what? The extravagance cards.
So 6
the
and an 8
off of
from Gizmek, so 14 times 4, 5,600.
That's a big boy. And you only really need 100 in. So I think Gizmek goes first, and then we go off to the races. No.
Wow.
Wrong order, my friend.
And there's the Compulse.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
And that's going to summon out the Olenoides from grave. Now
And,
Gizmek can swing over the Duprog.
I don't even know if I want to do that. It's one of the very few scenarios where it gets to actually
Yeah,
resolve.
looks like we
saw it here on camera, folks.
I'm curious why he attacked with Maju first.
The idea, I think, is that you want to use Gizmek to attack into the Dupe Frog and then Maju into the Toad, which is far over lethal. But instead, he didn't do that. Reading Toad real quick. It's going to fire again.
Yep, during Jordan's standby phase, he'll get another Frog. Imperial Order will destroy itself.
Hooray. See, it's fair.
And Jordan's going to go ahead and have his turn. So Imperial Order is going to destroy itself.
Oh, we may have made a mistake with life point tabulation here. It looks like he thinks it lasts another turn. No, it's going to the graveyard.
No, I was going to say, it should have. There wasn't anything like too cryptic about that.
Quick, how many attack points did Shizuku have? All right,
Going for the
and of
swap.
course this triggers swaps effect. Finally, there's a turn without Lancia, so we'll make a whole huge board here. Gizmek, you're going to have to pull a lot of weight.
Well,
if he survives the turn, there's not a Dupe Frog, and Gren Maju is lethal into anything.
I think he can survive this turn. Because keep in mind, Alex is on 8K.
He's on 8K, but there's at least a Boral Sword coming.
But Gizmek can act as a wall.
Yeah, he's at least 2 monsters you have to chonk through.
And then if Alex can just slap down that Gren Maju again, and if Jordan doesn't have a way to out it, I mean, that could do it.
So we can make the Toad and the Ronin Totem into like a Nightmare Cerberus. Then we can double Ronin to go into Boral Sword. We can go to battle phase with the Toad live, provided we have the material necessary. We probably have to activate a Paleo for that, though.
Maybe that's what he's going to do.
Let's see.
He's going for 2.
Now, notably, Toad doesn't count as material for Ronin Totem. Oh,
Going
it's
for the Mastar Boy.
Whoa, we're just aggroing him out, boys.
It's going to add back the the Dupe Frog.
And Jordan's really lucked out by already having a trap monster on his side of the field. It means he's going to be able to go into something like Opabinia, which can represent a couple of removal spells. Ooh. We can make Opabinia here and banish the Gizmek.
That would be pretty good.
That is strong.
Because then Gizmek doesn't represent a recurring threat. And at that point, you just have to survive Gren Maju.
Which seems pretty doable, especially if you make a second Toad in the process. I do like that Jordan clearly has been in a position like this before. You know, he exactly knows what it is that Alex is going to do. He understands the specific out that he needs to have for something like Gizmek, and he just has to execute it at this point.
Well, if you're going up against so many Orcus decks throughout the day, I mean, Gizmek is obviously a very prominent card that they play, so this shouldn't really be too particularly new for him.
Wow, move over, Goki. This is the new link spam.
Jordan could still do the entire play you described with Cerberus. That's assuming he's playing it. Make Cerberus, pitch, pop Gizmek. Gizmek can still bring himself back, though, is the issue, I think.
Here we go.
Is he going to try it?
All right, there's the boy. Alex says, yeah, okay, whatever. Let's see how many Toads you got in the graveyard. He's going to trigger the Grave effect of Mastar Boy, which is analogous to the one that Toad has.
He just used Boral Sword's effect to switch the Dupe Frog to defense.
Oh, did he?
He did.
We're doing it already? All right. Bringing back this
Bringing
Ronin
back
Totem.
the Toad.
Oh, these super toads are so hot. So now with a totally awesome, any stray toad on the field is going to mean that Gizmek's Grave Effect can be negated. All right. And looks like we're going for it. So we're attacking into the Gizmek. That's going to put him at enough to do 3,000 points of damage.
Yep. So that's going to put him down to 5.
Looks like we're going to probably attack directly with the Totally Awesome or the Boral Sword second. Doesn't really matter.
So Boral Sword right now is 1225 plus 4225.
Yep, and he's going to go to activate the Gizmek effect, which of course is going to eat a Totally Awesome activation. He's going to discard the Dupe Frog for that.
And that should do it.
Wow.
That's it.
Hey,
Wow.
Clean 2-0
Clean
from the Paleozoic player.
Yeah, I mean, not really much to say there. I mean, it was
know,
interesting. I think it was interesting to see this new take on Gren Maju playing a bunch of going first cards and not necessarily relying on, because that's a really big deal, right? When you go into games 2 and 3, going with these strategies, it's very difficult for Gren Maju to kind of adapt to that because the opponent gets to choose whether or not you go first or second. It kind of throws your whole strategy into disarray. I think this kind of makes even more mind games introduced into the equation, and it was pretty cool to see. You know, both these players are only at 1 loss right now.
Yeah.
Or were, I should say.
Yeah. Certainly, I think that conventional wisdom with Gren Maju is that you're aiming to kind of protect the castle and simplify the board state to a point where a big chonker is going to make it through. But this really just played Gren Maju as Inspector Borders copy 4 through 6. You know, if your opponent accidentally leaves a Galate in attack position, just like an Inspector Border wins you the game on certain board states, so does Gren Maju.
Yeah, that's fair.